It was requested, thus it will be. So somebody responded to one of my videos. It was on Cliff K versus RC Sproul. I can never say his name. Cliff K versus RC Sproul on God's sovereignty. And then I did a reaction to it. And basically, I was unimpressed with RC Sproul, and I kind of vaguely agreed with Cliff, though I think Cliff made some errors in wording and things like that, which is surprising because I don't really agree with Cliff on almost anything. Now, Derek Davis 3004 responded saying, "Foreknowledge does not imply that God chooses everyone's path in life. This is a I'm sorry. Foreknowledge does imply that God chooses everyone's path in life. This is because God knew what was going to happen even before he created anything, and he would have created things in a way that aligned with his foreknowledge. Free will implies randomness, and random chance is impossible for God to is impossible if God knows what's going to happen. That's not true. So, free will does not imply randomness. And I will explain to you why by explaining what are secondary causes, and from an Orthodox perspective, what are they, right? These are some, again, notes that I've taken over time and a little bit of supplementary stuff that I have pulled up to the side here that I can read, but I hope that this helps anybody who wants to understand secondary causation a little bit better. So then I said, God created a world that allows for secondary causes. Well, what does that even mean? I said, this is a pretty deep topic. I'm not really interested in writing an essay, which I am not. On it, I might do a video covering it, which, here is the video. It was, in Orthodox theology, a secondary cause is any created being, force, or principle that God employs to bring about his purposes in the world. These agents have their own genuine God-given power to act according to their nature, right? So that means, well, I'll explain it this way. Think of it like a master craftsman and his tools. The craftsman, primary cause, has the overall plan and power to make the table, but he uses a saw, a hammer, a chisel, secondary causes, each of which has its own specific function and power to cut, pound, and shape. The saw truly cuts, and the hammer truly pounds, but they are doing so under the direction and empowerment, that's the key, of the craftsman. Now, how does this not negate free will? Well, I'll explain you. There are other secondary causes than simply tools, right? Human free will is a secondary cause. Our choices, prayers, and actions are secondary causes. They cause other things to happen. The laws of nature, gravity, thermodynamics, biological processes are all secondary causes. Angels and demons, they are spiritual beings with own will and agency. Their actions towards us, whether good or ill, other people, are secondary causes on us. So we're the primary cause of some things, but other people act upon us. Just because we have our own will doesn't mean that other people's wills are negated just because we might know something. For example, I'll give you an example in real life. I can see my child reaching for a hot stove, or maybe something that's going to hurt my child. Maybe they're going to step on something, or they're going to do something that's going to hurt them, right? And in my wisdom, it's just a little hot, so I'm going to allow them to touch the hotness and learn a lesson, right? I knew what was going to happen. I knew what the result of their free choice to reach out and grab the stove would be, right? It would be, oh, really hot, and it would shock them and burn them a little bit, right? And the child would cry, and I knew what was going to happen. But I also have as the primary cause, or the person with foreknowledge, I have the choice to intercede on their behalf or not. God has the ability to intercede just because he has foreknowledge, but it doesn't mean that he always intercedes, right? So the child reaching out and grabbing it and getting burned I didn't cause that to happen just because I knew that would be the result. Now, historical and social forces are also ones, weather, etc. So the Orthodox answer rests on two foundational principles for why God allows secondary causes. The distinction between God's essence and his energies. So in the Orthodox tradition, we have a distinction, essence, energies distinction. the core belief that God is love, and other things like that. Okay, those are the two main principles: God's essence and energies, and the core belief that God is love. Those are the two foundational pillars for why God allows secondary causes. One, God transcends transcendence and immanence, the essence energies distinction. This is a critical theological tool that helps resolve this paradox. Now, I'm not an expert on essence energies distinction. If you want somebody who knows it far better than I, Father Deacon Ananias Sorum, who runs Patristic Faith, has some excellent stuff on this, and Jay Dyer has some excellent stuff on this as well. And there's numerous other sources you can go to. St. Gregory of Palamas has entire works on it, in fact. So those people are far better. I'm just going to give a very general overview. This is a the essence energy distinction is a crucial theological tool that helps resolve the paradox. The Orthodox Church teaches that while God's essence is utterly transcendent, unknowable, and unparticipatable, meaning we can't participate with it, his energies are uncreated grace and actions through which he makes himself known and interacts with creation. As a primary cause, God acts through his energies. He sustains, guides, and fills all creation with his divine presence and power, without being contained by it. This is how he is the ground of being, quote unquote. This allows for real secondary causes because God is not micromanaging creation from a distance as a mere essence, but is dynamically and personally present within it through his energies. He can empower creatures to be genuine agents. He grants them the logos, inner principle, and tropos, the mode of existence, by which they can act freely and according to their nature. His energies uphold and enable the very causality of secondary causes. 2. God is love and he respects his creation. The ultimate reason God allows for secondary causes is because God is love. 1 John 4:8 says, love does not force, control, or manipulate. The gift of freedom, out of love, God endowed rational creatures, humans and angels, with genuine freedom. For love to be real, the possibility of rejecting love must be real. This means God allows for our free will, a secondary cause, to have real consequences, even when those consequences are sinful and painful. Non-interference as respect. God's allowance of evil is not a passive neglect that is respectful of kenosis or self-emptying. He condescends to allow the drama of the human freedom and natural causality to play out, all while working within it to bring about a ultimate good. He does not violently override the natures he creates. Synergy. Cooperation. The ideal relationship is synergy, where the human will, a secondary cause, freely cooperates with the divine will, the primary cause. The prayers of the saints, the obedience of the Theotokos, let it be to me according to your word. That's synergy. And our own aesthetic efforts are all examples of secondary causes working in harmony with the primary cause. How this works in practice This framework explains how God can be sovereign over the world filled with both good and evil secondary causes, and God wills some things directly. Certain things are according to his antecedent will, his original perfect desire, such as our salvation. God permits other things due to the misuse of creaturely freedom, sin. Now, sin is a turning away, it's a privation, it doesn't have ontology. God permits these things that are against his antecedent will. This is his consequent will, or permission. He allows the secondary cause of human sin, or the quote-unquote randomness, as you called it, which isn't really a fair description in my opinion, of a fallen nature to operate. But he does not abandon the world. God overrules for good. In his wisdom and power, God continually works through and in spite of secondary causes to guide history towards his ultimate purpose. That doesn't undermine our free will. He can bring about good out of evil, healing out of brokenness, and resurrection out of death without violating the freedom of his creatures. This is a mystery on some level. We're not going to fully encapsulate or understand this. Here's some key patristic quotes that we can look at. We ought to understand, this is from St. John Damascus, we ought to understand that while God knows all things beforehand, he does not predestine all things. For he knows beforehand those things that are in our power, but he does not predestine them. For it is not his will that there should be wickedness, nor does he choose to compel virtue. So that predestination is a part of his foreknowledge, but he predestines these things which are not within our power. So he's basically predestining things that are not within our direct purview. This perfectly captures the balance we have on God's perfect foreknowledge as the primary cause, but his respects the dominion of second causes, our free will. So, in summary, secondary causes are real, created agents with God's given powers to act. God allows them because he is love and respects the freedom and nature of what he has created. And he still is sovereign because the primary cause, acting through his uncreated energies, he sustains all of existence and works synergistically with good causes while permitting and overruling evil causes. He sustains my tongue's all tied. He sustains all existence and works synergistically with good causes while permitting and overruling evil causes to ultimately fulfill his wise and loving purpose without being the author of evil. This preserves both God's ultimate sovereignty and genuine reality of the created order, seeing the world not as a divine puppet show, but as a dynamic arena of relationship between creator and his creation. So, I hope that helps, guys. Check out the bio below if you want to support me. I have a PayPal, I have a book, and I also have a website for my business. So please check those out. Spread them if you know them. Those are the best ways to support me until I can monetize the channel, which should be happening probably this week. If all goes well, because we're getting close to the amount of hours viewed in order to qualify. So thanks everyone who took the time to listen. If I got anything wrong, any clergy, Father Deacon Ananias, Father Michael Lille, any of those guys, please let me know. I also show a lot of my videos and my clergy have access to my channel. They see everything that I upload. So if there's ever anything that I upload that is off the deep end, they would tell me to basically delete it. So I appreciate everyone taking the time, and have a wonderful day.